are doing this. To begin with, I would like to put this question out there to everyone, and Aggie, I think, will help us coordinate this one, is what do you think is branding, according to you guys? Whatever you think. You can write one word, one line, on what are some of the, or if you want to talk about the challenge you face with branding, then please write that too. So maybe a minute or two for that.
Yes, you can type your answers in the chat box. And yeah, you can also mention your social enterprise name and country, so we can better
Yeah, that
know.
would be great.
Yes.
Thanks, Aggie. If there's no more answers, can we move on?
Yes.
Okay. So I loved all the answers that are here. It's pretty amazing. I think you all are pretty bang on what branding is. Identity and personality. Mass image of the person or organization. So people have given some great answers, and it's great that it's in the chat box so everybody can read those answers. I just want to move on to the next slide, and this is how branding started. But branding is basically it's a thousands of years old activity, and the earliest branding was done by ancient Egyptians, who kind of probably branded their livestock just to make sure that their cattle didn't get mixed with other cattle. That's basically how branding started, and it's amazing how branding today is so much more different than just branding cattle, but the word branding is basically come from here. So in simple terms, if you look at a definition, a brand is a name, a term, a design, a symbol, or any other feature that identifies one's seller's goods or services as distinct from those of the other sellers. I remember one of the challenges that somebody said was that, oh, how do you make your product different? And that's the key word here. The key word here is any other feature, because branding is not anymore just a design and a symbol, but the key word here, again, I'm saying, is any other feature, because branding today is much more complex than just a symbol. Oh, I'm sorry. So it's basically why branding. Let's think about why. Why do we need a brand for a company? Well, that's what makes your business unique. That's what makes you different, makes you stand apart from your competitors. If you have a unique brand, you can attract your ideal client. You want a person that's the person you want to work with. You give people specifically what they need. And that's the very first message that your customers, your consumers will get, is through branding. And branding is based, so these are the things that you have to keep in mind when you're doing branding. Firstly, it's communication with your clients. It's your messaging. What's your story? Now, I want you guys to remember this slide, because being social enterprises, and also even if you're not, this is one of the most important components of your branding. It's your style of writing. How do you write? I mean, the consistency in a brand involves in your communication, in your messaging, in your story, in your style of writing, also in how you talk. Now, I have this image of Obama here because just the way he talked itself made a really amazing brand for him. And I think all of you can probably connect with that. So these are some of the brands that are really famous, and I'm sure all of you recognize it. And if you look at them, these brands, these logos are simple and yet very effective. So some of the most famous brands had very simple logos. And that's something to keep in mind when you are designing your logo or your brand, because you want to be able to connect, you want to be able to connect with people through simplicity. Color is a very, very important part of branding. Now, when you look at a Google brand, the logo, it looks really simple. But the fact is, a lot of research and a lot of time went into creating this brand, into choosing these colors. And if you notice, Google uses a lot of primary colors except that green. And if you guys are interested, if you ever Google the story behind the Google logo, you will see that there's a pretty good reason why they have chosen these colors. Consistency is really, really important in branding. So if you have a brand and you have certain colors, you need to have the consistency across all platforms, because the brand is the first thing that your clients are going to see, your customers, the people you're serving are going to see. And if you're not consistent along all on all platforms, it can be quite confusing and your message is kind of not reaching them well. So if you see in this slide, I have taken, you know, all this, the branding by UNDP, and they have used the same colors and similar logos in different ways, but you can tell it's part of the same brand. So again, talking about consistency, you have to have consistency on all your platforms, whether it's your website, whether it's social media. And I'm going back to the story, because this is very, very important as social entrepreneurs and social enterprises, because you guys are making a big difference to people's lives. And one of the most important elements of a great brand is a great story. And what are the elements of a great brand story? And why do we need to have a compelling brand story? Because stories are what will help you make an emotional connection with the people that you want to make an impact on, the clients that you're trying to get, the customers that you're trying to serve. We human beings are wired for stories. Like they say, stories, facts tell and stories sell. And that is why a story is so important. And as a social enterprise, if you can use a great story, you will be able to reach more and more people. And the most important element for you would be telling, for social enterprises, would be telling a human story. So what are some of the elements of a great, compelling brand story? You can talk about how you have solved a problem. You know, is there something that you're doing that is solving an issue? Is there something that you're doing that is helping people in a way where nobody has been able to help them? That can be one of your elements in your branding story. For example, I've read a story just recently about this shoe company called Zappos in the US, and what they do is they basically just ship you shoes. You can choose, you can get yourself 3 or 4 pairs, and then if you don't like 3 of them, you can just send them back. Now, Zappos accidentally sent the shoes to the wrong address for this bridegroom who was going to have his wedding. Right away, instantly, they sent his shoes to the place where he was having his wedding, and that's why it makes them a very strong brand, because they have showed how they can solve a problem. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this slide moving. I don't know why that's happening. Aggie, can you share your screen? Do you have that? It's not working on mine. Sorry about this.
Yes, let me try.
I think my laptop is, oh, sorry. It's working. Is that yours? No, that's fine.
No, it's yours.
Okay. I think it's kind of trying to have, I don't know why it's telling me to force quit, but I don't want to do that. So let's see if it works. Otherwise, keep yours ready. Another element for, oh, sorry, it's not working again. What's your motivation? That's the other element. What inspired you? You must all have a great story about why you're doing what you're doing. Why did you choose to be in this social enterprise ecosystem? What is it that drives you every day to go and do what you're doing? That is that is a very important element of your brand story. Sorry guys, it's just taking longer to move the slides.
No, can you just let Aggie share it? Because I think if you stop sharing, then everybody can see Aggie's screen, and then she already has the video up.
Okay, but hers was also slow. That's why I was wondering if
Okay.
we could have.
I chose to work in Lampung because there's quite a lot of cocoa that's being grown in this region, but not that much intervention. So we have an 8-week workshop that we do for the farmers, and it's really focused on what issues they're facing in the particular region that they're in. We also purchase the beans from the farmers, and we do so at prices actually more than double of market rate, because we want to encourage them to really implement good farming techniques and to ferment their beans as well, because only from fermented beans can produce good tasting chocolate. After buying the beans from the farmers, we do the entire production process from the bean until the final chocolate product that we sell to consumers.
Memelihara kakao dan sehingga bisa memberikan kakao itu yang lebih baik, sehingga kedepannya bisa sempurna untuk kami fermentasi. Seperti apa yang disampaikan oleh fasilitator, bahwa kalau kakao itu kita rawat dengan maksimal akan menghasilkan sesuatu yang maksimal juga.
Rasanya enak. Enak.
Enak, lembut.
Yeah, so we had a great screening of the video. I think we're gonna share the link as well, so people can get the HD quality as well as the awesome sound. It's a great video. Thank you so much, Nisha. You want to share a bit more about the background and lessons learned from that?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, very clear.
Yay!
Can you unmute Cedric's? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. I'm really, really sorry for this. So the reason I showed this video is because it's a great way to see how you can do some great branding. And it talks about, so it focuses a lot on people. I just want you guys to take a few seconds and think about how that video made you feel. It was not talking about just the company, but it was focusing a lot on the people who are benefiting and how it's affecting their lives and how it's changing their lives. So that was the reason I wanted to show this video, to drive home the point that it's a story that's going to sell. It's the story that's going to help you, create an amazing brand. And it's a story that's going to help you get your message across and make that emotional connection with people. Can we go to the next slide, Aggie?
Yes.
I just want to touch up briefly upon brand personality, and it's a very, very important part of branding. And a lot of the big companies spend sometimes millions and millions of dollars just trying to get a great brand personality for them, because it is a very important aspect of brand. Aggie, if you go to the next slide, I can talk about that. So here are some of the brand personalities. And if you look at this slide, you will look at a lot of these very famous brands and how they've all kind of have a personality to themselves. So when you talk about Cadbury, Amazon, you know, their personality is sincerity. Coca-Cola, Tesla, excitement. And competent, Microsoft or Intel or Google. Sophistication. Usually sophistication is a personality that's used by designer brands. Like anybody who's you know, very focused on design will have a very sophisticated brand personality. Again, this is a very huge topic that can be gone into depth you know, in respect to how to have a brand personality, how to create a brand personality. Yeah, Aggie, that was great. Next slide is great. Yeah, and so this chart, I just put it out there for you guys to understand what these different brand personality means. And on the whole, most of the brands that are around will kind of try to have these brand personalities. Now, and there are more, there's some people who say there are 8, but usually this is what people are looking at. And they're going, okay, you know what do I want my brand to be? What do I want my company to be? And what do I want my brand to convey? Do you want your brand to convey sincerity? Do you want your brand to convey excitement? Depending on that, you will be sorry, lost my Zoom. You will be creating a brand personality for yourself. Aggie, can we go to the next one? This is a very important thing that I find a lot of companies, even who have been in existence for a long time, don't have. And if you guys don't have that, I think you should look at it, because a mission and a vision for a company or an enterprise or a business is a very, very important thing to have, because it kind of gives you kind of a framework and a guideline about what you want to do and how you can do it. So Aggie, next slide. So let's just say you want to reach the moon. What is your moon? You know, your moon is reaching, you know, say 10,000 customers. Your moon is maybe making an impact in people's lives. Maybe you want to touch 10,000 people. You want to help 500 farmers. If you have that mission, that's your moon. You want to reach the moon. And how will you get there? Aggie, next slide. So that's your mission. That's your vision, and your mission is how will you get there. And this kind of gives you some principles and guidelines as to how you're going to reach your vision. So if you want to reach the moon, you build a rocket, right? So if you have a vision in your mind for your company, then you can have a mission which will kind of help you create a plan as to what steps you can take to reach your vision. Next slide, Aggie. Yes. So now I just want you all to, you know, I mean, who doesn't recognize this logo? Do you all? I mean, I'm sure you all do. It's Nike. But where does it say on this that it's Nike? They just have their tagline, just do it. And sometimes they don't even have that. Now, the reason why I chose this one to really drive home the point about vision and mission is because they have done an amazing job of describing their vision and mission, and they kind of follow it. Like Nike is one of the best examples to take when you want to learn about branding, because they have mastered the art of branding in a way. So do you see the name Nike? No, you just see the swoosh and you know. And Nike didn't start out as a $1 billion company. They started out really small. There was a coach in the US who was training athletes, runners especially, and he said, you know what? I want to think of a way where I can make shoes that are going to make athletes run faster. And he spent years and years researching that. And Nike didn't even start out as Nike. Nike started out as Blue Ribbon. The company was called Blue Ribbon. And as slowly as, and they this coach, he started his research and building his making his shoes, not building, sorry, in sometime in the 1960s, and it took him about 7 to 8 years to have his first store, and it was still called Blue Ribbon. And it was, and as the business grew, and that's one of the answers to one of the questions that was asked earlier, you can change your brand, you can change your brand personality, you can change your branding, you can change the name, you can change the logo, because that's all a process of evolution in your business. As you grow, you will change and you will evolve, and you will want to probably say, hey, you know what, I want to now change the name, I want to change the logo, because now I've reached this stage where I can do this. Nike means it's a Greek name for the goddess of victory. And Aggie, can we move to the next slide? So I'm just going to let you guys read this. I mean, if you want, I can read it too. This is the vision and mission of Nike, and you can see how they have done such a great job of putting their vision into words and what their mission is into words. And that can make your life so much more easier when you're trying to, make a plan as to how you're going to run your business, what you're going to do, how you're going to create your products, what are the things you need to do, because this can really, really help you do that. So Nike's vision: to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. That's their vision. How are they going to get there is to do everything possible to expand human potential. We do that by creating groundbreaking sport innovations, by making our products sustainably, by building a creative and diverse global team, and by making a positive impact in communities where we live and work. Now, this was not Nike's original vision and mission. Companies are changing their vision and mission all the time as they grow. And it's okay if you guys do it too in your businesses. So remember that it's okay, but it's also a great idea to have this, because this can really, really help you plan your activities around your business. Can we go to the next one, Aggie? I really want to share this video with you.
If we show emotion, we're called dramatic. If we dream of equal opportunity, we're delusional. When we're too good, there's something wrong with us. And if we get angry, we're hysterical, irrational, or just being crazy. But a woman running a marathon is crazy.
Officials tried to pull her off the course.
A woman boxing was crazy. A woman dunking, coaching an NBA team, landing the impossible, or winning 23 Grand Slams, having a baby, and then coming back for more. Crazy, 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 and crazy. So if they want to call you crazy, fine. Show them what crazy can do.
Okay, so Aggie, can we, okay, now I'll stay on this because I just want to talk a little bit about this. So in this one, did anybody see Nike saying, hey, buy our clothes, buy our shoes, because we make it with this technology and this amazing material, which is not going to make you sweat, blah, blah, whereas they are doing all that? Nothing. What they have done is try to connect with you emotionally. And Nike has mastered that art. I mean, I encourage all of you guys to go online and look at some of Nike's ad campaigns and their branding, because you will see how they have made a connection, an emotional connection with people without ever having to say anything about their product. In the entire ad here, you don't see their product as in, look at our product, we make it this way. The other reason I wanted to show you guys this ad is because the hero for every business is the people. That's their hero. Their hero is every athlete, everyone who loves physical activity, everyone who loves sport, everyone who wants to run or jog or play or anything. And that's what I want you guys to keep in mind when you are doing your branding. Try and keep the human element, because as a social enterprise, it is even more important, because you guys are making a difference in people's lives, whether it's through creating employment, creating jobs, or you're saving the environment. Then you're even making a bigger difference by, helping humanity. So try and have that element in your branding. Tell human stories. It's great to talk about the product you have, but it's the story behind that product. It's the story that will sell your product. It is your connection with the people that which you can create is what's going to sell. Because, for example, you're making a particular product. There's many companies that are making that product. What makes you stand out? What makes you stand out is your story. And if your story is unique, your product is unique. People make a lot of choices through emotions. When they're buying, a lot of emotion is involved. So try and do this on your own. If you want to, you can go and look at all the Nike ads, and you will see how they have mastered this amazing art of making this amazing emotional connection with people, and then yet becoming an amazing brand and a successful brand without ever talking about their product. Aggie, can you go to the next one? I just wanted to put this out there because we just recently got it. I mean, again, UNDP is also constantly, changing their vision and mission statement. And this is the brand identity, that they are adopting now. So UNDP is a leading United Nations organization fighting to end the injustice and poverty inequality of climate change. Working with a broad network of experts and partners in 170 countries, we help nations to build integrated, lasting solutions for people and planet. Again, I wanted this to be here because I want you guys to think about what you're doing, your mission, your vision, your mission, and what is it that you really are trying to bring through your business to the world. How are you going to make a difference? And once you have it put in words so clearly, it just makes things very easy to do. Aggie, can we go to the next slide? I just wanted to share some branding facts with you guys and there's many, again, there's a lot of facts, but I think some of these facts that I'm going to talk about are very interesting. And I'm also worried about how much time we have, so I didn't want to have too many, but next slide, Aggie. Consistent brand presentation across all platforms increases revenue by up to 23%. That's by the Forbes.com. So that is why I can't stress enough about how you have to have uniform branding across all platforms. So if you're going to be having a particular kind of branding, so it includes, and the brand presentation includes your colors, your logos, your messaging, and your personality and your brand values. So try and be consistent in everything you do, because your brand is going to represent you outside. And so you don't want to confuse people. So I have a question here, just says that I hear Nisha says UNDP keeps changing its mission and vision. Is it a good idea to keep changing? No, they don't keep changing in the sense they transform it completely, but they kind of keep, as and when, and I'm not saying that they change it like every year or two, but I'm pretty sure that their vision and mission from 20 years ago is not the same as today. I know that ADB also recently did it. Like ADB's vision for the longest time was to reduce poverty, but if you go and look at what theirs is now, it is including much more than just poverty. They want to not just eliminate poverty, but they want to create equality. They want to help the environment. So as you are growing and as you change and as you add more and more activities to your business and your enterprise, you should be looking at doing that, because then that's what gives a clearer picture. Because if you still use your old vision or mission statement, then people are not going to know what you're doing now. So UNDP doesn't keep changing, but they kind of keep refining, maybe change the language a bit, because also as time goes by, and you will see this happening with most big companies too, they kind of make it as they grow, as they transform, as they change, and as they build more, they add more. Does that answer your question? That was Biplov. Okay, so another very fun fact is 64% of consumers say that shared values help them create a trusted relationship with a brand, again from Forbes. Now, the reason I'm mentioning values here, especially with you guys, is because for social enterprises, you guys are clearly about more than profit. You are more than wanting to make money. You are about making a difference, whether it's to the environment, whether it's to your communities, whether you want to create jobs, whether it's marginalized communities, indigenous youth, whatever it may be. You have values that are different from purely profit-making companies. You're not an oil company, right? Their purpose is profit. So you have a value. You have a value of community. You have a value of helping others. You need to share those values through your branding to your audience, because the moment people can connect with that. Now let's just say you have an organic farming business. There's an entire community out there who's health conscious, and they have the same value as you. Let's just say you are helping, women and kids through your business. You are providing employment to them. Well, there are a lot of people who really believe in doing that. And if you want, let's just say, even a small donation from them, if you can convey that value of yours to them, they will donate to you. So it's important to convey your values. Before conveying the values, you have to know what your values are. Again, it's a very broad and very big topic, which we can go in depth at some point later if you guys are interested. But try and, if you can, when you're done, write what your values are for your business. Whether it's, what is it that is driving your business? Those are your values. And how can you use those values to connect with your customers, your audience, your investors, donors, anyone. Next slide, Aggie. 82% of investors want companies they invest in to have a strong brand. Again, I wanted to put it out there because that's the reason why you need to have a strong brand. And that is the reason why you really, really need to invest in a strong brand, because as I said, the brand is what is going to represent you outside. Like, just say for that matter, Aggie is not in the room. How are we all going to talk about Aggie? That's her brand. So when you're not in the room, when you're not present, when your business is not, how are people going to talk about your business? That's your brand. And if you have a strong brand, look at the percentage of interest the investors will show. 82% of investors will invest if you have a strong brand. All the more reasons for you guys to work on your branding. Next one, Aggie. Yeah, this is a fun fact I find. I find this really interesting, and because this involves a lot of things. Color. But why color is so important in branding? Because a lot of it has to do with psychology. And again, it's a very vast area where color and color psychology is something that brands use. And a lot of big companies actually spend a lot of money actually researching what are the colors they should be using in their brands. So these are some fun facts. 35% of the most, among the most valuable brands, 35% use blue, and 30% use red, and 23% use grayscale, something like Apple. 20% feature yellow or gold, and just 1% are purple. So this will kind of give you a sense of how you can use color in your branding to connect with customers, because people use psychology when they connect with someone, and color is a very strong element in psychology. Aggie, next one. So this is the end of, almost the end, but I would really like for you guys to take a minute or two and think about what are the key takeaways you can take from here and some of the lessons you've learned. And it would be great if you can put it on the chat so that all your friends and your colleagues can also, have a look at what you learned and what are your takeaways from this webinar. For me, I hope that you have gained something. I hope that it's given you food for thought. I hope it has inspired you to go back and look at your brand and, maybe look at ways of, making it better. And also maybe look at a way of creating a vision and mission statement for yourselves. So I think maybe 2 minutes, if you guys want to, I think it would be great if you share your thoughts. What are your takeaways and lessons learned?
Also, you can raise your hand if you want to share.
Yeah,
I
that'd
can.
be great too. You can ask questions too.
Okay, Linka says Tenzin wants to share his learning. Can he speak?
Oh, absolutely. That'd be great.
So, hello, Tenzin.
First of all, hi Aggie, hi Nisha. How you
Hi.
guys doing?
Good. And thank you, all of you guys for being so patient and understanding with all this massive problems that we had during the webinar. Really appreciate it. So yeah, go on. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was trying to share anything. I was just sharing a message with Linka. But yeah. So yeah, but I think today's webinar was quite insightful for anyone who's working as a part of a social impact organization or a startup that's working on social impact or any sort of product-based startup. So a lot of the things that these young startups or organizations fail to understand is that the key elements of a brand, like the brand color palette, the brand archetype, or the brand communication and persistency is really important. A lot of the times when I come across, when I'm doing my incubation programs, is that the organizations are quite focused on their execution of their plans and what they want to do, but they don't pay much attention to their brandings, which kind of defer their impact overall because they're not being able to communicate to other people of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve. So I think branding itself is very important to convey your message to all of other people who you might be willing to inspire and might be willing to get into cooperation or collaboration with your organization, and who might be also be able to help you out achieving your greater goals. So I think it was a really insightful webinar for me, which I can also use during my incubation programs or the startups that I'm trying to help achieve their goals. So yeah, I think people should pay more focus to branding and the key elements of what makes a strong brand. So yeah, it's short.
Well, thank you so much for that. I think I could not say it enough that branding is so important, because that's how you're communicating with anyone you want to communicate with, and the world, and the importance of consistency. It's extremely important to be consistent across all platforms. So thank you for driving home that point again. Aggie, I think there may be quite a few questions. So if you want to, kind of want me to address those, can you just tell me if there are any questions that people have that I can talk about?
Yes, sure. So I saw there's a question. Is there any specific logo for social enterprise logo?
You mean color?
Yes.
No, there isn't any specific color for a social enterprise. There's just very few very important things that because we are now going into logo. Honestly, logo can be another webinar, but here's what I'm going to say. Few basic things to keep in mind is simplicity. There's a formula, and it's called KISS. They say keep it simple, stupid. Because if you're simple, then it is easy for people to understand. Like, look at some of the most famous brands. Their logos are very simple. They don't use 10 colors. Choose any color you like. You can. Now, the reason, and I know I didn't touch up much upon it, but blue is one of the colors that's very popular in logos, is because according to color psychology, blue is something that kind of conveys calmness and peaceful, and people are very drawn to blue. Red is a very, very powerful color. Again, also it depends on where you are. Again, if you use red in China, you can't go wrong. But red is also a very powerful color because that's one of the first colors that we see. I mean, for example, why are traffic lights which tell you stop in red? That's because you can see it from far away. So different colors have a different effect on human psychology. So there's no particular color for your logo. What I would say is try and use colors that kind of stand out. Like Google uses primary colors, you know, so they use yellow, blue, red. You don't have to. You can do any shade of yellow, blue, red. If you want to stick to that, you can take any shade of any of those colors, but also try and match your logo with your brand personality or your brand values. So if your brand personality is excitement, then you probably want to use yellow and not blue. So these are a few things to keep in mind, but again, I will stress that keep it really simple and something that people can connect with. And a lot of times a logo with a great tagline also is a great idea. Does that answer your question? Aggie, any more questions?
Yes. So Walter is asking what determines brand personality?
Okay, so the brand personality is, again, it depends on your business. And I know you guys, so I can talk about it. So Docha is, you know, you guys are making these amazing, really cute shoes. So your brand personality, according to me, is, you know, kind of fun. It's excitement. It's not a very serious, you're not making black, white, gray. You're not serious. You're making something fun. So your product, your culture, you know, your messaging, all of that goes into your brand personality. It kind of, it's interchangeable. So what is the culture of your company? What is the product you're making? And what is the message you're trying to convey? That will go into your brand personality. Now let's look at Disney. Disney is fun, right? And that's their personality. What is their product? Their product is entertainment. So they cannot have a personality of sincerity. So you have to look at your business. You look at what your values for your business are, not your personal values, your business values. And accordingly, you will determine your brand personality. And everything's not black and white. There can be a bit of, you know, a little bit of everything, but there will be a majority of something. Does that answer your question?
So I saw Isha. I don't know how to pronounce your name. So you're raising your hand.
Hi, Nisha and everyone. Hi, Nisha and everyone.
Yes,
my
hi.
name is Jackson and I'm from Pakistan. Thank you so much for answering one of my questions. My second question is, as we see that there is many organizations, their mission statement and vision statement are too lengthy. But normally people like the short statements. So can you tell me what will be own that we provide our mission to others?
So you made a very good point, and I'm just typing out in my my chat box. This is the formula, and yes, you have to have your mission and vision statement really simple, and I'll tell you why. Now, your language that you're using in your mission and vision statement should be if you're trying to explain something to a 6-year-old, they should get it. So the point is, if you have a very complicated, very long, you know, with really difficult words and difficult vocabulary, mission and vision, it's very confusing for people to understand. And to get a great vision or mission statement, if you can't do it on your own, it's okay to get some help. Like you can even get somebody to edit it for you. If you have a friend who can edit it, you can get somebody to do it professionally to edit it for you. But it's and it's such a great point you made. It's very important to have a very clear, crisp, very precise vision and mission statement. And guess what? Not just that the audience will understand what you're saying, you will understand it. Once you have clarity, you will know exactly what you want to do, what you have to do to reach your vision. Because if you don't have a clear vision and mission statement, even you will struggle with knowing what to do. So yeah, that is a very important important thing that you mentioned. So does that answer your question? Is there anything else that you were asking? Yeah, okay. So is there anything else?
that anybody would like to ask? I mean, I'm looking at the chat and I think people have some really amazing insights in all of this. It's great. Maria has said that branding is a great form of communication between a company and the consumer. Is if the brand is able to convey its vision clearly to the consumer, investor, etc., we'll understand and accept it. So that is great. I think you all should take a minute and look at the chat, and people have some really great ideas. When you're refining your brand, how do you make sure that it is not mainstream yet catchy for the emotions of the users? For example, we are in this together for COVID-19 is too mainstream and it doesn't work anymore. Now that one I haven't seen. But again, if you want to make something catchy, tell a story. I think that's the most important thing. Tell a story, and it has to be a human. It has to have a human connection, and that's how you will make a connection with people. The reason why a lot of brands don't work, or a lot of the messaging doesn't work, is when it's too dry and it's devoid of emotion. Chandra has said, thank you. I really learned some important things. It was kind of another reflection on what we learned from you last year. Oh, okay, so you were there with us. I love the part about logo and color making the most. It was also confused about my logo. I'm happy that helped. That's great. Vision is a dream and mission is how you achieve your dream through your best available resources. That's great. So yes, the good story to communicate, and I think that's where my computer was hanging and we were having trouble with the presentation. So to communicate a good story, you need a few elements, and there can be many elements. I chose 4 to share with you guys because I don't want to confuse you. One of the most important things to tell a good story is talk about your motivation. Now, what motivated you? Tell your personal story if you have to. You can talk about a problem you solved, or a problem you are solving. How you're making a difference in somebody's life, or how you're solving a problem related to the environment. Let's just say you have a business that's helping solve the plastics problem. That's a story. Talk about who your hero is, and your hero usually is the people. It's the people who will make a very strong story. So talk about how you are connecting. I mean, how you are making a difference in somebody's life. Are you employing people, or are you helping educate some people or some kids? So that's a very important. I think for social enterprises, again and again, I'm saying your story should be about people. Those are your heroes. Like when you look at the Nike story, who's the hero for them? It's people. They are not the heroes. Nike is not the hero. It's not about them. The moment you talk about yourself, people are not going to listen to you. They will listen to you when you talk about people. And because human beings, our brains are wired to listen to stories and to listen to interesting stories. So Biplov, does that answer your question? I just saw your question on the chat. That's why. Are there another thing that I just thought about, which you can talk about in your stories? What makes you different? Why are you so special? Why you have to talk about what makes you stand out compared to everybody else who's in the same arena as you. So that also can be a part of your story. Are there any more questions or?
Yeah, I think we run the session a bit over time.
Yes, yes, me too.
Feel free to email me, or I will share this webinar recording and slides after the webinar. I'll also share Nisha's email if you want to reach her. So Nisha, do you have anything to add?
No, again, I just want to apologize for, the problem that we had during the webinar. I kind of felt really bad. It wasn't flowing that well, but I just hope you all learned something. And I'm hoping that everybody's got, food for thought. My intention is for you all to think about what more and what else and what's new and uh, what else is there that I can learn about branding. I just want, and maybe you all can go and research and look at some of these amazing stories about amazing brands that are out there. Like, I really highly recommend for you guys to go look at the Nike ads. They're really, really good. Another interesting brand that I can mention to you guys, which is very successful, which also started out very, very small, is IKEA. Look at them, how they did it. Because I know right now you guys may think, why is she talking about all these big brands? But none of them were big. None of them were big when they started out. They were all probably where you are at today. So, and we also always should learn from the best. I think we always should look, keep our benchmark really, really high. So try and do that. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer those at any point through email or any other way. Our whole team is there, so we are all there to help you. And thank you, Aggie, and thank you, Cynthia, and thank you, Linka, for helping me, and thank you everyone for being so patient.
Yeah, so we have another session on marketing, also led by Nisha. Do you want to share some details about the webinar?
Yes, so the marketing webinar, again, it is an offshoot of the one we did in Bangkok. I wanted to I want to go a bit more in depth if I can in this one. Marketing, again, is a very, very important, webinar, important activity. And without that, of course, you can't get your services out there. And in this webinar that I'm doing, you will see the connection between branding and marketing. And you will also see how stories are used in marketing too. In marketing, again, it is about making that connection with people. And so I'm going to try and touch upon that in the marketing webinar. So if you guys are interested, I don't know when we are doing it. Aggie is in charge of our timetable. So she will be sending out all that for you guys. So please join that if you're interested.
Yeah, so we will be sending out the calendar invite once the date has been confirmed. But also, please feel free to email back to me to tell me how's your experience and what do you think about the content of the webinar. And is there any topics you would like to learn in the future? Maybe we can organize for that. So please feel free to let me know what do you think. Yeah, I think that's all for the webinar today.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, I think, Aggie, you made a great point. If there's any other topics that you guys may be interested in, doing, which, we could look at maybe logos or, I don't know, brand personality or brand values or anything like that. If anybody's interested in going in depth, maybe we can look at doing that. So thank you so much, Aggie.
Thank you, Nisha.
And thank you, everyone.
Stay healthy. See you next time.
Stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.